Let me ask you a question. Is there anything wrong with having a vacant property? Well, the answer is it depends. Number one, it depends on what your business model is, right? So have you financially put money aside in reserves? Many people, I was one of them in the beginning, that I never thought I'd have a vacant property. I always thought, you know what? I'm so good at marketing and talking to people, I'm gonna get this thing rented immediately. So I never factored that into my cost. Now, the problem when you do this, and again, I learned this because this was me, is that when you don't factor it into your cost, now all of a sudden when you have a vacant property, and I never checked days on market, I didn't even know what that word meant. Days on market, by the way, means how long properties will stay vacant on the market. So at the time, days on market was about 28 days. Well, I thought that I would rent it within 3 days. Not realistic. So now all of a sudden the average is 28 days. I'm not financially ready for a 28-day vacancy. So what do I start doing? I start getting nervous. That's a very dangerous place to be as an investor, because the next thing I started doing is I started getting reactionary and I started trying to push the envelope, and tenants that I wouldn't normally accept, now I'm thinking, you know what? Maybe they'll be okay. I've got a good gut feeling. I think they're gonna work out. Mistake number two. You've got to understand, number one, you are running a business. That business runs off of data and it runs off of numbers. Very, very true when it comes to vacancy. Look, putting the wrong tenant in your property can make your life horrible as a landlord. Your problems, 99% of your problems in real estate will start and stop with either the tenant that you select or maybe the one that you don't select at all. Number three, you want to think about is, are you violating any fair housing or discrimination lawsuits? So let's say, for example, you have policies and procedures and you have qualifications. Now, you need to have qualifications. If you don't, have them written down, have them disclosed, and have sure everybody gets a copy of your qualifications. Because if you're ever hauled into court, the first thing the judge is gonna ask for is say, let me see your qualifications and your policies and procedures of how you accept or deny tenants. So now let's assume that you have qualifications and you have a certain income criteria and you have other criteria that you're requiring of your tenants. And based on the first 2 days, because you thought that you were gonna get it rented so quickly, you didn't accept those tenants in the beginning because they didn't fit your qualifications. But now on day 20, when you're getting nervous, now you accept a tenant that maybe wouldn't have gotten accepted on day 2, but now you accepted them on day 20. You actually just violated your own policy. And it could be construed that you legally discriminated against those people on day 2. Nobody knows about your financial situation. Nobody cares about your financial situation. You gotta remember, folks, you are running a business and that business does not care about your financial situation. You've got to plan for it. What I have learned is most people, when mistakes happen, is when it's over money. They're nervous that they're gonna run out of money and they start being very reactionary and they run things out of emotion. Make sure that if you're gonna have a vacant property, the first thing you need to do is check to see what are the average days on market. Factor in that that's what it is gonna be. Even maybe be a little bit more conservative on more days just in case. Also, set money aside in a reserve contingency fund to make sure that if anything should happen, you have the money set aside and you're not getting nervous and scrambling and making decisions out of emotions and not business. And last but not least, make sure you have policies, procedures, and structures in place, and you've got a qualification process and procedure. If you don't have that, you will get in trouble. I guarantee you there is a lot of people out there that get in trouble because of this very thing. In other videos that if you watch, I talk about how to deny a tenant and make sure you know what an adverse action letter is. So if you haven't watched those videos, I'd go back and watch them. And also make sure that you're running your property like a business, because it is one. I'm Steve Rozenberg. Talk to you next time.